Namaste everyone. I hope you're all doing well, and today I am telling you a story from Shiva Purana, and it is from the creation section of Shiva Purana. See, from times immemorial, there is one question that plagues humanity. That is, why are we? Where did we come from? And how did we happen? And why are we on this earth? Right? So this is not something that's unique to any culture. So if you look at the ancient Greeks, the ancient Egyptians, any ancient culture, there is some kind of an explanation about how the world came into being. And Hinduism is no exception. Given how many scriptures that we have in Hinduism, there are many different accounts of how the creation happened. But despite these different versions, there is a common thread that runs through it all. Once you start reading more versions, more scriptures, you will be able to figure out that it's not so different after all. Only a little bit of the narration is different. So today I have picked the version that is told in Shiva Purana. This is a book that is brought out by SriRamakrishna Mission Chennai. You can only see the mirror image, sorry about that. This is called The Glory of Shiva Purana, and I feel absolutely blessed that I could provide a script for this book. And there are some, I keep telling this every time, there are some really glorious illustrations in this book. So if you can find the book, please do read it. So yeah, now how did the world came into being? So we all have heard at some point in time the word pralaya, right? That is the dissolution. So in Hinduism, we believe that there are many pralayas. There is not just one great dissolution which is going to just, take away everything with it. There are smaller dissolutions where, gods remain, and there are dissolutions where they, even the human beings go from one yuga to another. So there are different kinds of dissolutions, but there is one dissolution called the Mahapralaya. That is the greatest dissolution, and during this, nothing remains. No gods, no demons, no humans, and not even the Holy Trinity. Not even the Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, who are like the three pivotal gods in our culture. So what happened after this Mahapralaya or the great dissolution was, let me just open up to that page. There was darkness. There remained nothing but a great darkness. So what was this darkness, and how did things happen out of this darkness? This was no ordinary darkness, but this darkness was immense power. This immense power, let me just read this script here. At the time of Mahapralaya, the great dissolution, everything from the sun and the moon to the planets got dissolved in the water. There remained nothing except darkness. However, that darkness, called Parashiva, was a force which could not be seen. So this was not ordinary, this was a force, this was a power. So after several billions of years, this force decided that it wanted to give itself a form. So Parashiva, that's what this force is called, gave itself a form. And that was once again, a magnificent form, 5 heads, 10 hands, matted hair, moon-crested head. If you can see here, yeah, so that was Parashiva manifesting himself. So as soon as Parashiva manifested himself from this immense darkness, he spawned off Adi Parashakti, his consort or his partner. So for several more years, Parashiva and Adi Parashakti lived by themselves. So for them to live, Parashiva created this beautiful, fantastic city, which is currently known as Varanasi. See how lucky we are that we have a city created by Lord Shiva himself amidst us, and he called it Shivaloka. So Shiva and Parvati lived in Shivaloka for many years, and once while they were taking a stroll in the beautiful gardens of Varanasi, Parashiva told Adi Parashakti that it was time that the world started again. And with that statement, Parashiva created another tremendously powerful being who was clad in golden robes and appeared before Parashiva and Adiparashakti. Parashiva called this force Vishnu. And then as soon as Vishnu manifested himself, Lord Vishnu manifested himself, he was a little confused. He looked at Lord Parashiva and asked him, "Who am I? Where did I come from? Why am I here?" Then Parashiva told him, "Look, you have to go and meditate. You meditate as many years as it takes, but when you wake up, I want you to wake up in a state of bliss." And God Vishnu asked Parashiva, "How do I know that I am in this state of bliss?" Then Parashiva said, "You will know. You will have no confusion in your mind. You will have no dilemma as to what to do next. Your next step will become very evident to you. I want you to meditate on the self until you reach that point." So now Vishnu, see here is a picture of Vishnu who was created by Parashiva. So now Vishnu went into meditation, and for several thousand years, precisely according to Shiva Purana, for 12,000 God years, Lord Vishnu meditated on the self. Then he opened his eyes. And when he opened his eyes, the same questions that plagued him before plagued him again. He again thought, Lord said, "I will be in a state of no confusion, but I am still confused. I still have the same questions that I had before." Then he heard a voice from above, and we call that the SriRamakrishna. And the voice said, "Then in that case, you meditate more. Until your mind clears, you meditate." Then Lord Vishnu went back into meditation and meditated for several thousand more years, and then he woke up. And when he woke up, he knew that he was in a state of bliss. There was no confusion in his mind. He no longer wondered what he was or where he was. He just felt exhausted. There was such exhaustion in him, he decided to sleep. The moment he decided to sleep, water started pouring out of his body. The water that poured out of Lord Vishnu's body filled the darkness. Wherever there was darkness before, now there was water. So most of us even know that Vishnu is called Narayana, which means the one who rests on water. Nara is water, Ayana is sleep, so he is Narayana. And so Lord Vishnu just slept on the water for many more thousands of years. Now in the meanwhile, Parashiva created another being and called him Brahma. And he placed Lord Brahma on a lotus flower and attached the stem of that lotus to the navel region of Lord Vishnu. And now Brahma, he wakes up in the middle of this lotus flower. He doesn't know where he is, and he once again is plagued by the same questions. Who am I? Where am I? Why am I? Then Lord Brahma decides to explore. He starts going up the stem that he sees attached to the flower. As he goes up and up and up the stem, he reaches comes face to face with Lord Vishnu. And he detaches himself from the lotus, and then he asks Lord Vishnu, who is awake now, "Who are you? Who am I? Why are we here?" Lord Vishnu just smiles and shrugs and says, "I think there is only one person who has the answer to this question, that is the one who created both of us." So at that moment, Parashiva appeared before Brahma and Vishnu. Then Parashiva told the two of them that their purpose then was to create the world, to create the lives. So he entrusted the onerous task of creating the worlds to Brahma. And then he told Brahma, "I want you to take up on this responsibility and create the worlds and inhabit them with beings." And then he looked at Vishnu and he said, "Whenever there is any kind of unrest or whenever there is any kind of danger to the worlds that Brahma is creating, I want you to take over and maintain order in the world. You cannot let the worlds that Lord Brahma has created collapse before the end has arrived. So, and then Lord Parashiva said, so when the time comes, I will be the one who will take upon the dissolution or ending it all. So for that, I will not be appearing in the present form, but I will take up the form of Rudra. I will also be called Maheshwara, and the three of us, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, together will create the world, maintain the world, and when the time comes, we will dissolve the world and we will start the process all over again. So in Hinduism, we believe that the creation is cyclical, as in it's not a one-time thing. You know, Brahma creates, Vishnu maintains, and Maheshwara dissolves, and that's the end. No. Yes, when that's the end, the cycle goes back to the creation, the maintenance, and the dissolution. So it is a cyclical form of creation according to Hinduism. So, and this is how Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, the three gods themselves, came into being. Now, maybe next time we will talk about how Brahma went about creating different beings. You know, it's not just humans, it's not just gods, right? I mean, even if you look around yourself, there are snakes, then there are insects, and then there are birds, and then there are trees, and then there are shrubs. So there is a beautiful account of how all of this came into being through Brahma. And yeah, so this is how the Holy Trinity, or the Trimurtis as we call them, came into being. And this ends the first part of the creation tale. And now we can take a moment and look at what this story is actually trying to tell us. You know, I keep repeating after every story that there is an obvious moral in every story, especially when it comes from scriptures. That is, you know what, there is God and there is faith, and then there is the religious, you know, bhakti that one needs to, you know, develop towards our Creator. So that is the obvious message. And there are also the meanings that are hidden. So what I find as my hidden message may not be your hidden message. So I would urge you to go back and read the story that you have just heard, not just from me, but any story that you hear. Try to at least, you know, mull over that story and see if it has any significance to you. So to me, the biggest significance here was when Parashiva instructed Vishnu to meditate. You know, most of the time we are also in a state of confusion, right? Something as simple as you know, how to prepare for a test, or how to face an interview, or what happens you know, as the next step in your career or your education. So we are always in a state of flux at bigger things and also smaller things. You know, sometimes we are even confused with what do we want to eat, or you know, where do we want to go, or which TV show we want to watch. So there are multiple levels of confusion. So I'm not asking you to meditate, but maybe what you can do is just take a 5-minute breather. Every time you have to start a new task, just take 5 minutes and sit by yourself. I'm not asking you to meditate, I'm not asking you to pray, I'm not asking you to do anything, but just take a 5-minute break and sit. And you will see by the end of that 5-minute period, your next goal becomes a lot more clearer. That's because, you know, we never give ourselves a chance to clearly think. We are always doing something. Even when we sit with a cup of coffee, or we sit with our mobile, or we, you know, quickly try to turn on the news or read the newspaper. Don't do any of that. Just sit for 5 minutes before, you know, you start your next task. Especially when it is confusing, when you don't know what to do next, take a 5-minute breather. If Vishnu meditated for 12,000 plus years, we can at least do it for 5 minutes, right? So that will do a world of good. And by and by, you can develop deeper meditative techniques. Like it can be prayers, it can be chanting, it can be meditating on your breath, or it can be focusing in between your brows. I mean, there are several different ways to meditate, but now even scientists agree that meditation is as essential to life as eating well, or you know, exercising for fitness. So meditation is for your mental fitness. So it doesn't have any age. Just start small, start with 5 minutes and see where you go from there. And then the next moral that or the lesson or something that the story called out to me was, see, the gods themselves have created this beautiful world for us. It did not, of course there are scientific theories, there is the Darwinian theory, there is the Big Bang theory. We are not disputing any of that, but just staying with the story from today, from Shiva Purana, let's assume that Lord Brahma created this beautiful world for us. So the least we can do when someone gives such a beautiful gift for us is to appreciate it, right? So today, just go out into your balcony, go out near your gate if you can't, walk yet because of the corona scare, and just observe the world around you. Even if you live in the middle of an urban habitat, you will still spot birds, you will still spot flowers, you will still spot trees. So spot them, enjoy them, and once again, don't take any entertainment with you. Just go out with the intent of enjoying the world that the gods have given us as a gift. And the next step is to maintain this gift. So would you like it if someone gave you a gift and you just threw it away or you just ruined it? So let's not do that. So this world is a gift from gods. Let's do our bit to maintain it. Let's use less plastic, let's reuse things, let's not become overly materialistic and buy everything that we feel like buying. Small ways, every day, even if you take one small step towards protecting the world, that goes a long way, given the population in the world. One small step from every individual is what's needed. So I hope you all enjoyed the story as much as I enjoyed telling you the story. And until next time, you have a nice evening and namaste.